It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so a couple of stories here. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer signaled willingness to work with Hitler in an interview this week. So I know somebody's probably getting mad. Stop saying Hitler. We're trying to make the point.
Yeah.
Okay. We're trying to make the point that was... Remember, is anybody calling Trump Hitler right now? Do you hear anybody doing that right now? Somebody called him a fascist the other day.
Yeah.
Forgot who it was. But you don't hear it. You don't hear it every single day coming out. And so there's Whitmer saying in an interview that the president-elect clearly cares about Michigan.
Wow.
Wow. People in Michigan, like a majority of Americans, voted for Donald Trump, and my oath is to Michigan. Even if you have to align yourself with Hitler? See, these are the kind of questions I would ask if I was a reporter, too.
Well, I guess if I were, I'm wondering, I'll say this. I was going to say if I were a leftist reporter, but that's not going to happen. I can't even put my mind there. But I'm wondering if any of these liberal activist reporters will ask the question, well, then are you going to help enact his entire agenda? How far, in other words, how far are you willing to work with him? I mean, they say this now. You saw Fetterman. Fetterman's one of those lawmakers, though, that he hasn't been in lockstep with his party on a few things. But essentially saying that, he should be pardoned for the whole legal expense case, as he called it. But that Trump should be pardoned. But Fetterman's kind of always, been in the, I guess, non-absolute territory. Mm-hmm. Part of that is because he's from a oil production state, Pennsylvania. You're going to have to listen up now that, the people of Pennsylvania spoke, and I think he knows that. But Whitmer, more to the extreme as a governor, especially in Michigan, is, again, the joke of, saying, okay, she's working, she looks forward to working with Hitler, because that's what her side was doing.
Yeah. They
were calling him Hitler, and all of a sudden now he's worth working along with. And now I think it's honestly, I'll believe it when I see it. But the fact that she's said it out loud is a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
It's not, that hasn't happened in a long time. And maybe forever with most people on the left. But when it comes to Trump, but it's, again, I wait for the actions. Okay, to what extent? I am curious. Because, the people of your state, that's the way they went. Not everybody, but sorry, he won it. And how's that going to work? I want to see as governor what you're going to do. How far you're willing to cooperate.
Well, that sort of leads us in to this next audio cut. We've been talking about it. It was held earlier this week, and we played a number of audio cuts, but there's more here to play because the Democrats in the Senate decided to hold a hearing, a Senate Judiciary Committee hearing on the impact of possible mass deportations. Now, the Democrats held it because they believed they could get the political advantage on this to convince Americans that the possible mass deportations are wrong. And we're like, why would they think that? Especially based on all the polls that exist out there. Now, this is Lindsey Graham. And Lindsey Graham, the first witness he talks to, Forde Teray, who is an assistant Philadelphia prosecutor, who is a legal immigrant to this country. And you will hear some of the questioning that he has and the points that he makes, because one of the points he's made is that Mr. Teray said in his opening statement that, if Trump deports people like him, there's a problem. And this is the whole point that you're hearing now, that legal immigrants to this country are going to be deported, which is not going to happen. Right. But here it is.
Does anybody disagree with the following statement? America has a right to limit how many people can come into our country.
No.
Nobody disagrees with that. Good. Mr. Teray, very successful life. You have much to be proud of. During the 4 years of the Trump administration, were you ever, anybody suggest you should be deported?
Thank you, Senator, for the question. No.
Okay. Do you support deporting the 1.2 million people who have been through the system, have a final order of removal? Do you support them leaving?
Senator, I'm a prosecutor.
No, I didn't ask you if you're a prosecutor. Do you support them leaving?
I support people that have committed serious crimes.
Do you support the people who have gone through the system, been denied, had their day in court, final order of removal? Do you support them leaving?
If you have
as a prosecutor, as a rule of law person.
If you have committed a serious crime in this country,
that's not the question. So is it your belief that every non-criminal in the world can come to America?
No.
How many people want to come to America that are non-criminals? Probably hundreds of millions. And I understand why. It's a great country. So my point is, if you're not willing to say that we're going to deport you after you've had your full day in court, you're facing a final order of deportation, we're going to incentivize people to come forever. Mr. Melnick, is that right? How many people did Ronald Reagan provide amnesty to?
Estimates are roughly 2.7 to 3 million.
How many illegal immigrants are in the country today?
I said roughly 13 million, although we don't know the exact
I would say
estimates.
that the last thing we want to do is give amnesty to people here now, because we'll be overrun. Mr. Arthur, would you describe the last 4 years as mass illegal immigration coming to our borders?
I believe that that's fair characterization, Senator.
Does anybody disagree that the last 4 years has resulted in mass illegal immigration directed toward America? Because if this is not mass, what the hell would be? Now, how do you answer mass illegal immigration? You start enforcing the laws, Ms. Moran said, and you start sending people back who've had their day in court. You can't answer the question, and I respect you. You've been able to take the opportunity to make something of yourself, but we're passing on just constant disorder. If you can't say you should be deported after you've had a full hearing, everything been available to, and you lose, and it's hard to say you need to go, we don't have an immigration system. General, how many people have been deployed to the border by governors to assist in border security from the National Guard?
Sir, I don't have that information.
Okay. There's thousands. Is that illegal use of the National Guard?
It is not the illegal use of the National
It's legal, right?
Guard. That is correct.
Yeah, I agree with you there. What's the largest cause of death in America for young people? Does anybody know? Mr. Arthur.
Drug poisoning overdose deaths.
Coming from a drug called fentanyl?
That is correct,
Mainly?
sir.
Okay, where does that drug come from?
That drug, reports indicate that it's made from precursors that come from the People's Republic of China, assembled in Mexico, and largely smuggled into the United States over the Southwest.
General Manner, do you consider illegal immigration a national security problem?
I believe that it is something that ICE and CBT needs to address.
No, I ask you, is it a national security problem?
I think it's a concern, yes.
Okay, I do too. And they're the highest number of people on the terrorist watch list in our country today. At the end of the day, the number of people being killed in America by drug poisoning is coming from labs and cartels in Mexico. General Manor, does the president have the authority to attack a drug lab in Mexico that's making fentanyl to kill American citizens?
I am not a legal expert, Senator,
Okay,
and
right.
I do not know.
So here's what I would say. I think we need to be tough, compassionate, but end this crap. If you're trying to poison America, you're a drug cartel, your days are numbered. We're coming after you, hopefully working with Mexico. If you've had your full day in court and you lost, it's time for you to go and try to do it right. We have to break this endless cycle of having policies that entice people to come to our country illegally, because that is the lack, we're losing sovereignty and losing control over our nation. There are too many people being hurt from this out of control system. So how do you deal with mass illegal immigration? You start with mass deportation of people who shouldn't be here.
There you go, Lindsey Graham. Now, the interesting thing is when he first asked the question, here's where he set up Forde Ture, who is the assistant Philadelphia district attorney, who is a legal immigrant to the country. And he asked the initial question, should we have unlimited illegal immigration?
Right.
Is anybody for that? And, nobody was.
Right.
And then he said, all right. Then when he was talking to him, he said, do you believe that somebody who has gone through the entire legal process and the judge has said you need to leave this country, you don't have a legitimate right, you've gone through the legal system, you need to go back, should you go back? And he doesn't believe they should. Well, then you are for illegal immigration.
Right.
Because what you're saying is they've gone through the whole legal process, they should still stay, and we shouldn't kick them out.
Right.
So the fact is you're lying about it.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say you're not for unlimited illegal immigration, you actually are. And he pointed that out. I think that was really important to do.
Well, because at that point, if you think about it, it is a person who has come here illegally, then they've gone through the court system and been ordered to leave, and he says they shouldn't have to go back.
Right. And at the same time claiming he's not for illegal immigration.
Exactly. So they've come here illegally. They don't get to stay according to the courts, so they should ignore the courts too.
Yeah.
So throw the entire system out.
Or the court shouldn't be making those decisions,
right?
And then everybody can come in, and there you have open borders.
You have open borders. The court has no say-so.
Right.
Not shocking to us, but you heard it right there. It needs to be demonstrated at every turn, because this is not over.
No, they're still going to fight tooth and nail, unless like that one Democrat said that we brought up yesterday, that it's time to send them all back because they're not voting Democrat.
Yeah, exactly. A different reason.
Right.
But, I mean,
we thought they were all going to vote Democrat. They're not. They need to go back. And it's like, well, first of all, you said they need to go back. You've set there the xenophobia that you show there. Number two, you're saying the only reason that you wanted them here is because they're going to vote for you illegally because they're illegal and shouldn't be voting.
Well, then we get into sanctuary cities and the mayors that want to be heroes, and we'll see how far they're willing to go with it.
Oh, you saw that yesterday with Holman, where who was it who said that we're going to meet you? We'll basically stop you.
Was it the Denver mayor?
I forgot who it was. I thought it was somebody in Illinois.
Okay. Maybe.
Because he said, go ahead. And he said, this is the law. You will be arrested. You can't do that. You cannot stop a federal agent. Because this is what they're saying. We'll meet you. We're going to get our local police, and our local police will put a blockade and stop you from coming in. And it's like, well, you're assuming that, like, there's, as I said, are you thinking this is going to be like the British marching down the road?
Right.
That's not how it happens. But still, if you did that, you're breaking the law. You're breaking federal law. That's a felony. And we're going to come after you. This is going to be interesting because they don't have a legal point.
No, they don't.
If you just sit there and say, we're not going to help you, that's one thing. If you say we're actively going to keep you from doing your federal law enforcement and we're going to block you from doing it, you're breaking the law.
Yep, absolutely. How far are they willing to go?
866-90 Red Eye.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by House Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
Only one change in USDA's December domestic soybean balance sheet, a 60-cent month-over-month decrease in the season-ending average price, now at $10.20 a bushel. World Agricultural Outlook Board Chair Mark Jekanowski says that is despite strong demand in the export market for soybean oil.
We raised our soybean oil export forecast this month by 500 million pounds. We're at over 1.1 billion pounds of soybean oil exports forecast. Considerable increase year over year.
Meanwhile, a boost in world soybean production in December is attributed primarily to a rise in Argentinian bean production forecast.
The change we made for Argentina this month, million-ton increase, reflects higher area expectations. About 50% of that crop is planted at this point. So we're expecting higher area in Argentina as well as in Bolivia.
As well as an adjustment up in soybean production in Canada. I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90 Red Eye.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Coming up on the bottom of the hour, one more audio cut that you'll want to hear from the mass deportation hearing that the Democrats called. So, and it really didn't work out too well for them. I noticed that the mainstream media did not cover it. Here it is right here. This is interesting. Climate doomsayers appear to understand their alarmist message did not resonate on the national level during the 2024 election. This is from Breitbart. Climate change ranked dead last.
Wow.
Among the most important issues of the 2024 cycle. With all, you think about this, with all the propaganda on climate change.
All the policy that's in play right now based on climate change.
The marketing of it, the amount in the budget for climate change, it ranks last.
Wow.
It says the climate doomers, climate doomers are searching for a new way to impress their anti-capitalist ideas on the American economy. The New York Times reported on Tuesday, the newest strategy is to focus on pressuring local organizations, state agencies, and state commissions to change rules and laws, thereby affecting change on the local level where the conservationalist may be unsuspecting. That's interesting. Now, we figured this would happen because on the national level, you're not going to have the money to do this, and you have states that don't want to do it. The majority of the public does not want to pay. You know, we've talked about how much people would pay extra to save the planet, and it's nothing. They don't want to pay anything.
Right.
Even if they believe the planet's doomed, they don't want to pay anything for it. You can't win this on the national level. I think that's why they're going. But you're not going to win it in states like Texas. You're not going to win it in Oklahoma.
Nope.
You'll win it in places like California, Illinois, New York, which will just make them more uncompetitive and more poverty-stricken.
Exactly.
Ho, ho, ho. wishing you a holly jolly red-eye radio Christmas.
Yeah. Merry Christmas.
See, what happens is I just want to listen to the music. It's like, and I'm forced to talk because it's my job.
I know.
It's like, can I just listen to the music for a while? Yeah, just sit back and jam for a little bit.
Exactly.
All right, I want to play this audio cut because this is, we'll call this our audio cut of the day because it's Josh Hawley talking to, Senator Hawley talking to Aaron Melnick from the American Immigration Council. And, he proposes mass amnesty. And this is the Senate Judiciary Committee hearing 2 days ago on the impact of possible mass deportations that the Democrats wanted to hold because they thought that they could promote their side, and somehow the American public wants to hear it. All the polls show since every poll I've seen, Eric, post-election, shows that people actually are coming more, even Democrats, strongly to the Trump position on illegal immigration.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But here they get into the economic side of it, and this really gets interesting and loud.
Okay.
So in this piece, and it's also in your written testimony, you talk about how much the economy will lose if the United States actually enforces our immigration laws and deports folks who are here illegally. And I want to quote you now. You say some industries would be particularly hard hit, including construction, agriculture, and hospitality, which combined would lose more than 2.5 million workers. What's the argument here, that there aren't American workers who are available to do those jobs?
No, and as I said previously, there likely are, but the issue is that—
And you don't want their wages to rise?
I think that we want to pass a path to citizenship so we can have a level and fair playing field for every American.
Why would you want American citizens and those who are here lawfully to have to compete against illegal immigrants who, by the way, are often paid not minimum wage, who are not given the federally mandated benefits precisely because they're here illegally? Why would you want to drive down the wages of millions of working Americans who can't get those jobs in construction, agriculture, and hospitality because illegal immigrants are getting them? Suppressing wages in the meantime. Why would you want to do that?
Well, if you didn't hear from my initial testimony, you know I don't want that.
Oh, listen, I read your testimony word for word, and I've been watching it, and I know what the answer is. You don't actually care about working people because you're absolutely hell-bent on this ideological agenda of opening our border. You want to give everybody who's here a path to citizenship. You want blanket amnesty. You talk about mass deportations. That's your word, not Trump's. You want mass amnesty, right? It's right here in your testimony.
We want a path to citizenship for people who pass a background check, who pay a fine.
That's amnesty, who you just said is millions of people, 13 million people. Right, 13 million people you want to dump into the labor force.
They are already
who will drive
in the labor force,
illegally.
Senator.
They're here,
yes.
taking jobs from American citizens. And so, perfect. So here's your plan. So just if you're wondering, America, here's the Democrats' plan. Take the 13 million plus illegals who are here, taking jobs from Americans, taking wages down, taking health care benefits, and bring them here legally so that they can continue to drive down wages, flood the labor force, and suppress
Senator
all of
Hawley,
the above.
they can't flood the labor force if they're already part of the labor force, which is
they
the
are
economic
flooding the
issue
labor
today.
force now. That's what's happening now. Why do
the
you think
majority
wages
have been here for over 15 years? Many millions have been
and
here
what
since
has happened
the
to
Reagan
working class
administration.
wages in that time, Mr. Reifman-Melnick?
Working class
Have they gone
wages
up?
are currently going up. Yes.
Oh, really? They've
have
gone up over the last
year.
15 years?
Over the
They're
last
up?
15 years, I will have to consult the economists on that matter.
Yeah, they're down, way down. What world do you live in? Listen,
Senator Hawley,
here's the deal. The American people just voted. The American people just voted. Well, you know what? It's my time, not yours. So you're here to answer my questions, not to offer a soliloquy. And let me just end with this. The American people just got a good look at your economic program, and they voted against it. We've had an open border for the last 4 years. We have had de facto amnesty, as you yourself just said, for the last 15 plus years. It has been a disaster. People have died because of it. Wages are lower because of it. Our streets are in chaos because of it. And now you and the Democrat Party just say more of the same, more of the same. Let's double down. I would just say to you, I think that's insanity. I think it's total insanity, and the American people do too.
Senator Hawley, we have a choice. We can either hurt the economy or help the economy. And if we want to deport 13 million
It hurts the economy to give American workers jobs?
Senator from Texas.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, straight to the point, here. It has been very clear that the effort from the left has been open the borders. Let's just make it open, and then let's just have everybody competing essentially with millions, maybe tens of millions eventually, of others for these jobs.
You're not going to win that argument has already been won.
Right.
It was by and Hawley's side won it in the election. Just won it. In fact, here it is. A poll, the recent poll of registered New York voters by Siena College finds that a clear majority support. This is New York State. Mm-hmm. A clear majority supports President-elect Donald Trump's plans to deport illegal migrants. The Siena poll taken earlier this month asked respondents when it comes to any efforts by the Trump administration will take to deport migrants living illegally in New York, do you think New York State should support or oppose the federal government's effort to deport migrants? Understand, this is New York State. 54% said they should support the federal government. 35% said the state should oppose it. That's in New York State, where it's a 19-point difference.
Yeah.
Not going to win that. I wonder why the Democrats thought it was a good idea.
I don't know. I really don't. You've been saying that. You said that the other day.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Why are you, what is this? What is the effort here? What did they think was going to happen?
Unless they feel they have no place to go, so that you keep promoting the same thing. Yeah, we've talked about this before. Well, look, we just haven't explained our position enough.
Right.
So
right.
Not going to buy it.
Gary, some breaking news coming up across from Fox News a little while ago. Biden has he's commuted the sentences of nearly 1,500 people and granted 39 pardons, making it the largest single-day act of clemency in modern history, according to Fox News. The White House announced this just a little while ago. The 39 individuals pardoned, it does not have the list here, were convicted of nonviolent crimes. We'll see how many more pardons happen. We knew he wasn't done with Hunter. In fact, when he started with Hunter, we thought, oh my gosh, it's only going to probably get more intense from here, and we're not to January yet. So we'll see what happens.
So we don't have the names.
We don't have the names of the 39. They didn't list them. We'll see, if where it ends up, I guess, and if by the end of the day we do learn them. We may not. We'll see.
Well,
but we're expecting. Yeah. You and I fully expect some Biden names to be on the list.
No, I do expect that when it comes to family members.
Yeah.
Yes. That
after Hunter, it's like, okay, all bets are off.
Yeah. After he did that, all bets are off.
Look, he feels like he was kicked to the curb by his own party. He doesn't really have a legacy to build. He doesn't care about his legacy. I don't think he ever has. And he's doing these in December, and which means there's more, plenty of more time, well over a month, to issue more pardons. And we won't be surprised if other Bidens end up on that list.
Back to the illegal immigration problem. The San Diego County Board of Supervisors, voted to ban county cooperation with federal immigration officials, which the San Diego sheriff said she would not comply with, citing her independent elected authority over county jails. So the County Board of Supervisors voted to ban the county cooperation with federal immigration officials, but the actual sheriff of the county said she would not comply with that, citing her independent elected authority over those county jails. Under current California sanctuary law passed by former Governor Jerry Brown in 2017, local authorities can only cooperate with federal immigration and customs enforcement authorities for a defined set of severe crimes such as child abuse or torture. This loophole has allowed the transfer of some individuals to ICE and notifications to ICE and release dates, leading to the deportation of our community members and separation of families in our region. San Diego Sheriff Kelly Martinez noted Governor Gavin Newsom has vetoed expansions to the state sanctuary law and has sole power over the county jails her department operates. Martinez said the policy would put undocumented immigrant victims of crime at further risk of crime by other undocumented immigrants. While producing the rights of undocumented immigrants is crucial, it is equally important to ensure that victims of crimes are not overlooked or neglected in the process. Victims include undocumented individuals. These vulnerable individuals expressed to me that their legal status is used as a weapon against them when offenders from their community victimize them. That's what the judges or the sheriff is saying. If you're here illegally, but you haven't broken the law, you are a prime target to be a victim of a crime from another illegal immigrant.
Right.
So this is really interesting. This is really interesting where this is going to go.
Well, again,
here's a question. When you talk about the fact that the federal government knows that you're holding somebody that's a criminal.
Yeah.
And you're here illegally.
Mm-hmm.
Can the federal government go in even if if you bar them from coming in, are they going to try to challenge that? Is the federal government now going to try to challenge that and say you're breaking the law? Because you say, well, we're not going to cooperate and hand them over to you.
Couldn't they get a federal judge to order them to hand them over?
That's my question.
I'm guessing that would be your route, right?
Nobody's really pushed that because when we ask what is not cooperating, all right, we know you've got this criminal. We want him out.
Mm-hmm.
This is federal jurisdiction because it is. Because if you're here illegally, it makes it federal.
Mm-hmm.
Can a federal judge order a county to release that person to the federal government? I would say yes.
I would think so. I don't know what the argument would be against it.
I'm trying to think of what the argument would be against it. Now, nobody's really pushed that because that's viewed as, well, we're just not cooperating. Well, no, you're hindering the federal government from doing their work.
Right. And you've been clear about what your goal is in that regard.
Right. And they're in your prison to begin with because they've committed a crime and they're here illegally.
Right.
Now, if you don't wish to hand them over to the federal government and you keep them in jail and don't deport them and then eventually would release them, that's one thing. But if the federal government comes after them, well, I guess it would be the detainer, right? That they refer to it as.
Right.
Why don't you have to hand it over to the federal government? What is the part of the law that keeps you from doing it when immigration is, without question, a federal jurisdiction? And we know that it's strictly a federal jurisdiction because the Democrats fought to make it that way.
Right. Well, it's going to be interesting to see.
It is. 866-90 Red Eye.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. I don't know if it's ever going to happen, but if there ever is a push to get rid of the pardon power in the Constitution, to get an amendment to do it, it'll be because of, one of the catalysts will be what Biden, did. And then we see today how many were released. And the problem is, it's the imagery. I'm not saying that there aren't legit pardons in there and commuting of sentences. But the fact is, it's always done at the end when there's no political liability and the public knows it.
Right.
That itself is perceived as being dirty and corrupt.
Right.
That's
because
it
implies that there will be great opposition to it.
Right.
And that if you did it, let's say you you ran your campaign based, you promised, and you put the list out, right? All right, here's who I would pardon.
Right. You may not get elected because of it, right?
Exactly. So that's the problem that many people have with it. And, it gets to be extremely dangerous when you talk about the idea of getting a list together of people basically pardoning them for any future accusations or crimes.
Yeah. Well, you can't do it for the future.
The thing is that
they may try.
Any future prosecution, what they might come after, what the Trump administration might come after them for, based on the fact that, well, Trump's going to target them. Well, this is ridiculous.
Right. Yeah, you can do it for future prosecutions, but it's for crimes committed in the past. Right.
Exactly.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.